So I thought it was just the UK that had really stupid laws and regulations when it comes to using the interwebs. Well, it turns out our cousins over the pond in America are also having serious problems, with lawmakers wanting to ban VPNs, and a new piece of legislation has just been passed in America that affects the entire world. And we're going to talk about it. Remember when you thought age verification laws couldn't get any worse? Well, lawmakers in Wisconsin, Michigan, and beyond are about to blow you away. It's unfortunately no longer enough to force websites to check your government-issued ID before you can access certain content, because politicians have now discovered that people are using VPNs to protect their privacy and bypass these invasive laws. Their solution? Entirely ban the use of VPNs. Yes, really. Now, it's important to understand the context of trying to ban VPNs here. So a VPN is just a tunnel. It's basically, rather than your IP address being your actual location, you're essentially routing your traffic through a tunnel that makes it look like you appear that you're in a different country. And it's possible with a bit of knowledge to make these tunnels at home, or you can use VPN services, like for example, private internet access, today's video sponsor. Now with VPNs like private internet access, it's an extra layer of protection. It allows you to reroute your traffic through an encrypted tunnel to make it very difficult for governments or anyone to actually monitor what you're doing. And with private internet access, they don't keep any logs. So in the past, for example, when the government have requested logs from private internet access, they've just shrugged and gone, well, we don't have any. So the whole point of private internet access is being private. You can use the internet however you please without the government being able to spy on what you're doing. And also there's some added benefits from being able to change your location, which I'm sure you can figure out on your own. Now, the very foundations of a VPN is that legally they can kind of ban the use of them. They can say things like, we will arrest you if you use a VPN. And if they can catch you using a VPN, maybe they will. But one of the fundamental core benefits of VPNs is that they give you a level of privacy that makes it very difficult, not impossible, but difficult for governments to catch you, find you, and trace you in the first place. And that's why this is incredibly funny, and we'll get a bit more into the details now. As of this writing, Wisconsin lawmakers are escalating their war on privacy by targeting VPNs in the name of protecting children. Now, ladies and gentlemen, where have we heard this one before? I just wish someone would think of these damn children. Then it refers to the bill that they're on about, and it says that it's an age verification bill that requires all websites distributing material that could conceivably be deemed as sexual content to both implement an age verification system and also to block the access of users connected via a VPN. The bill seeks to broadly expand the definition of materials that are harmful to minors beyond the type of speech that states can prohibit minors from accessing, potentially encompassing things like depictions and discussions of human anatomy, sexuality, and reproduction. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm all up for protecting children, and we've done a number of videos explaining actual ways that you can protect children from accessing content that they shouldn't be in a fair manner that doesn't basically mean a blanket ban on any form of technology. Now, I've spoke about this before in the context of the United Kingdom, which essentially has zero respect for freedom of speech and freedom to access information. Now, seeing this come from America, as a British person that, doesn't live in America, I am very interested to see how the American people take to this, because as a British person, like, America is land of the free, where, you have your guns, you have your rights, you have all of this stuff, and even your government has fought the British government when it comes to things like encryption and limiting freedoms and speech. And even Donald Trump, for the many flaws the guy has, he's been an advocate of protecting legislation that protects people's personal freedoms. Meanwhile, the states in America are just like, nah, fuck that. What is going on? We are living in a parallel universe. This follows a notable pattern. As we've explained previously, lawmakers, prosecutors, and activists in conservative states have worked for years to aggressively expand the definition of harmful to minors, to censor a broad swath of content, diverse educational materials, sex education resources, art, and even award-winning literature. So what's happening now? Are we going to be seeing a VPN ban spreading throughout America? Well, kind of. They can't enforce it, but kind of. Wisconsin's bill has already passed the state assembly and is now moving through the Senate. If it becomes law, Wisconsin could become the first state where using a VPN to access certain content is banned. Michigan lawmakers have proposed a similar legislation that did not move through its legislature. That is a hard word. Legislature. That's a hard word to say. But among other things, would force internet providers to actively monitor and block VPN connections. And in the UK, officials are calling VPNs a loophole that needs closing. Now, fundamentally, it's next to impossible for them to monitor the VPN traffic. They'll be able to see how many VPNs were downloaded and, maybe who has a VPN, but what people do with that VPN is very difficult to track and regulate. And this is where we come down to the technological side of it, where fundamentally these senators have absolutely zero idea what they're talking about. And you know what? Not to throw any shade on senators, there's a million things that they know stuff about that I don't. I'm a guy on the internet with opinions, but when it comes to VPNs, VPN usage, and the risks that come with VPNs versus the absolute myriad of things that VPNs protect you against, they are creating a very dangerous situation in America. And this article sums it up with a pretty accurate statement. This is actually happening and it's going to be a disaster for everyone. VPNs mask your real location by routing your internet traffic through a server somewhere else. When you visit a website through a VPN, that website only sees the VPN server IP address, not your actual location. It's like sending a letter through a PO box, so the recipient doesn't know where you really live. So when Wisconsin demands that websites block VPN users from Wisconsin, they're asking for something that's technically impossible. Websites have no way to tell if a VPN connection is coming from Milwaukee, Michigan or Mumbai. The technology just doesn't work that way. Websites subject to this proposed law are left with this choice: either cease operation in Wisconsin or block all VPN users everywhere, just to avoid legal liability in the state. One state's terrible law is attempting to break VPN access for the entire internet, and the unintended consequences of this provision could far outweigh any theoretical benefit. And this is hitting the nail on the head and obliterating it. Now, websites can, for the most part, tell when a VPN is being used, but it can't get any other information other than the fact that the traffic is being rerouted. Effectively, websites will have to either completely ban VPNs or do nothing, because websites have zero way of knowing whether that traffic originated in Wisconsin. Effectively, this one bit of legislation affects the entire world. And then the article goes on to say how everyone uses VPNs, and there's a list of people who use VPNs. And it's true, everyone uses VPNs, and if you don't use a VPN, you should be using a VPN, especially when accessing public Wi-Fi. I'm going to keep monitoring this because this one bit of legislation affects us all, and it's absolutely awful. Make sure you check out private internet access at the link down below to get your VPN so you can stay protected. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.